Shabbat Shalom, family, and Happy New Year. Our selection today, Ride On King Yahshua.
No man can hinder me. Ride on, King Joshua, ride on. No man can hinder me. No man can hinder me. Ride on, King Joshua. No man can hinder me. Ride on, King Joshua, ride on. No man can hinder me. No man cannot hinder in that great in the morning. Fare thee well, fare thee well. In that great in the morning. Fare thee well, fare thee well. In that great in the morning. Fare thee well, fare thee well. In that great in the morning. Fare thee well, fare thee well. Ride on, King Joshua. No man cannot hinder me. Ride on, King Joshua, ride on. No man cannot hinder me. No man cannot hinder me. Ride on, King Joshua. No man cannot hinder me. Ride on, King Joshua, ride on. No man cannot hinder me. No man cannot hinder. Let me tell you about the coming judgment. Fare thee well, fare thee well. Let me tell you about the coming judgment. Fare thee well, fare thee well. Let me tell you about the coming judgment. Fare thee well, fare thee well. Let me tell you about the coming judgment. Fare thee well, fare thee well. Ride on, King Joshua. No man cannot hinder me. Ride on, King Joshua, ride on. No man cannot hinder me. No man cannot hinder me. Ride on, King Joshua. No man cannot hinder me. Ride on, King Joshua, ride on. No man cannot hinder me. No man cannot hinder. In that great in the morning. Fare thee well, fare thee well. In that great in the morning. Fare thee well, fare thee well. In that great in the morning. Fare thee well, fare thee well. In that great in the morning. Fare thee well, fare thee well. Ride on, King Joshua. No man cannot hinder me. Ride on, King Joshua, ride on. No man cannot hinder me. No man cannot hinder me. Ride on, King Joshua. No man cannot hinder me. Ride on, King Joshua, ride on. No man cannot hinder me. No man cannot hinder me.
The oracles of the UCI, 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you're sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. Praise Yah, like you guys heard, this is, of course, our new year. We celebrated last night, and Yah's will, we're going to keep it going tonight. I know it's, we're a little tired. That's what happened with them when those holy days come around. You find out just how much energy it takes to do a lot of those things. But you also have to look at the beautiful joy that it is to work for Yahweh our Elohim. And there's a difference. You always, anytime you have something, you'll have those that come to enjoy the festivities. But you have to, also take into account that there are some that are working while they're enjoying. Year after year after year after year. These things don't build themselves. The fire don't make itself. The decorations don't decorate themselves. The food don't cook itself. The food don't buy itself. It's a whole lot of things that ends up going into that. And we have to keep in mind that as we do come and enjoy ourselves, you might be looking at somebody who have been working for 8.5 hours before you saw them. So keep that in mind when we do encounter one another. Those people got off their earthly job and then came and clocked in their spiritual job, and they already a couple of hours in on that before you set eyes on them. So keep that in mind when these things come around, because it is a work of labor, but we are still human.
as well. So we have to understand that. And in understanding that, today's sermon is entitled Preparing a Place for the Remnant. When you consider what Yahweh does, he's not preparing a place for everybody and all individuals. He is preparing a place for the remnant. When you consider all the kingdoms of the earth, all of these individual kingdoms have their place. There was a reason why Yahweh separated them by their language, because he wanted there to be a separation between those nations. The thing that man wants to do, especially with his consolidated ruling, is to bring everything together. And we have somehow gotten brainwashed into this idea that bringing everything into where we are makes us better. It makes us inclusive. What happens when you are inclusive, it means that you have to turn away some of the rules and regulations that might offend someone. And those rules and regulations are offending them for a reason, because they have a different spirit. And if you keep bending the rules and regulations so all of these other individuals can feel comfortable, you are worshiping a different God by the end of the day. See, we get in this book and it says certain things about clean and unclean. But if you're going to let that slide so you can get, so you won't hurt anybody's feelings, now you just have a different kind of spirit going on. Then it tells us how we're supposed to operate as far as man and woman when marriage is concerned. But if you're going to let that slide because you want to get, some more individuals, now you got another spirit in there. Before you know it, you have a place swimming with different types of spirits, all under the guise of being inclusive, so that you can include everybody. What makes you think that Yahweh wants to include everybody? Cain and Abel were brothers, but those are totally different spirits between the two of them. Now imagine Yahweh wants to have communion with Abel, but you done invited Cain. You realize you have brought a different spirit into the atmosphere that Yahweh is trying to deal with. Being inclusive is about those individuals adhering to the way and order of the place that they are coming into. It is not about the place changing its rules so that other people can feel welcome. That is not what that is about. So when Yahweh introduces or invites people unto his kingdom, he's not changing the rules so that they can feel comfortable in his kingdom. You're going to have to change yourself to be included. Is he inclusive? Yes. But he ain't changing the rules for you. The rules don't change for you. You change for the rules. Otherwise, we're going to have a problem being that remnant that he's preparing a place for. Now in Revelation 16 it says, "For there are spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and unto the whole world, to gather them to battle of that great day of Elohim Almighty, El Shaddai. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watch and keeps his garments, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame." There's a natural nakedness and there's a spiritual nakedness. We're going to have to abide by both of those things. If somebody approaches that door not correctly dressed, if I have to say something to them, I'm wondering what happened to all the brothers who passed these individuals. Why am I speaking to the individual? Yahweh's law does not change for anybody. He does not make any apologies for his law. And neither should we. And it says, and he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. So there are spirits of devils working miracles which are leading forth the kings of the earth, the most powerful individuals, leading them to a fight so that they can be destroyed. Do you understand that different spirits have different objectives? And the more spirits you invite into a situation that have different agendas, the more chaotic your situation becomes. See, what we do when we pray is we invite the angel that stands at the door to come in and sup with us, that we may be led by one spirit. But when other spirits enter that, now you have the direction of the spirit that the angel is leading, then you have the direction of the other spirits who might have just come to party. There's a reason why, excuse me, when you go to a liquor store, they call it a house of spirits. You know, you always wonder, why would they call a liquor store the house of spirits? When you start drinking, you're going to find out. All alcoholic beverages don't sit with you the right way. You find some that you drink and all you want to do is fight. You find another one you drink that now you love everybody. You drink something else and you ain't going to work tomorrow. You learn that in them house of spirits, you better find something that fit your spirit. At least you be blaming it on, you know what? I didn't mean to do that what I did last night, but that Glenmore got in me. No. You have to understand that. Let's begin today's sermon in Ezekiel chapter 38. And we have to understand when we a lot of times like to take it on a light note when people say they caught the spirit, it always gets this good connotation. But we have to also remember, as it is written, as Yahweh is gathering the angels together, one of them said, I'll go and deceive this individual. I'll be a lying spirit. So you think about the spirit that is leading these rulers into going to fight, not understanding that they're fighting or being led to fight for a purpose that fits Yahweh's ultimate plan. But they all feel justified in everything that they've done. So you watch what happens when you encounter different spirits. There's nothing you can do to convince them to get off of where they are. They feel completely justified. Judas felt completely justified in betraying Yahshua until, of course, it was over. Then he wanted to get the money back. Then he questioning what he did. What happened? He was entertaining that evil spirit the entire time. When King David was numbering the people, it was other individuals that told King David, according to the law, man, you shouldn't be doing this. But he was hell-bent on it. And this took Dawid, some time, months upon months, I think a year. This was some time. So that means he is entertaining this evil spirit this entire time. Only after King David got through numbering the people, then he comes to himself. And you keep reading that, then he came to himself. How you come to you? That's because something else left you. That's how you came to you. You came to you because something else left you. Then you got yourself back. Go ahead, brother.
Ezekiel chapter 38 and verse 1. And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him.
Right, and when you go into Genesis, you find out that this is leading toward Russia. But I find it very interesting that when the Russians are talking about the scripture, they always go into areas where they're going to destroy something. They never go into the areas where they're going to get dealt with. Go ahead.
And say, Thus says the Adonai, Behold, I am against you, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I'll turn you back and put hooks in your jaws, and I'll bring you forth and all your army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet.
Right, and we know Persia is Iran, and they are still connected with Russia to this day. Go ahead.
Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah, of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with you. Be you prepared, and prepare for yourself, you and all your company that are assembled unto you, and be you a guard unto them. After many days you shall be visited. In the latter years you shall come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel.
Now, this is where the Jewish love to go into Ezekiel 38 as if it is talking about them. It says, after many days shall you be visited. In the latter years you shall come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people. These people didn't come out of many people. They came out of Germany and other places of Europe. They gathered these people. They created a so-called state of Israel out of one country, which doesn't fit anything else in this book. So herein lies the first issue. And when you listen to people talk about this, the Jewish, you know, they have to say things, well, you know, this is sort of like, because they know they don't fit this. And first of all, it says the land that is brought back from the sword. So you have to pay attention to that. Go ahead.
Which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them.
This is the part they said, well, you know, safely means, you know, I mean, for the most part, ain't nothing safe in Israel. It is constantly fighting its neighbors. It is constantly bombing people who basically have all of their weapons have been taken from them. So they're basically being a bully in the land going against those Palestinians. Those people were unarmed, and Great Britain set those people up for this while they go and have peace talks. But they set up the fight. So the same things that you're seeing now is the same things that happened in 1948. They went in, disarmed the Palestinians, took all their guns, gave the so-called Israelis guns, weapons, tanks, everything, then announced the day that they was going to march out. It was an absolute slaughter. And they knew. And in that way, they could wipe their hands of it and act like they didn't have anything to do with it. Then we go back over there claiming we're going to have peace talks. The West is why there is no peace in Israel. Go ahead.
You shall ascend and come like a storm. You shall be like a cloud to cover the land, you and all your bands, and many people with you. Thus says the Adonai, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into your mind, and you shall think an evil thought. And you shall say, I will go up to the land of the unwalled villages. I'll go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, and having neither bars nor gates.
Right, and this is not there in Israel. There's walls and bars they being protected by what they call it, the Iron Dome. What are you talking about? Without bars, without walls. They got to look past this part too. So they got to look past the coming out of many countries. They have to look past peace. Then they have to look past the land of unwalled villages. That's a whole lot of looking past. Go ahead.
To take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn your hand upon the desolate places that are not inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations.
Got to look past that too. This is why they want to run this thing where they say, you know, Jews from all over the world can come home. You mean white Jews from all over the world, people who have converted to Judaism, they can go back to Israel. You notice they throwing them people out. Them people that's been there, that came from Chicago, and everybody talking about we going to the Holy Land. All right, keep going. Go ahead. And like my brother Kish say, hey, who knows if it's a blessing that they throwing them out before all hell break loose. But you know, that's not how we look at things. Go ahead.
Which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land, Sheba and Dedan, and the merchants of Tarshish, with all the young lions thereof, shall say unto you, are you come to take a spoil? Have you gathered your company to take a prey, to carry away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods, to take a great spoil? Therefore, Son of man, prophesy and say unto Gog, thus says the Adonai Yah, in that day when my people of Israel dwell safely, shall you not know it. And you shall come from your place out of the north parts, you and many people with you, all of them riding upon horses, a great company and a mighty army. And you shall come up against my people of Israel as a cloud to cover the land. It shall be in the latter days, and I will bring you against my land.
Right. So Yahweh has hooks in their jaws leading them. Because of the spirit that they're entertaining, it's easy for them to be led into it. Go ahead.
That the heathen may know me, when I shall be sanctified in you, O Gog, before their eyes. Thus says the Adonai Yah.
And understand something. So after we deal with the situations of Jeremiah 50, when you talk about the daughter of Babylon being destroyed, who you think gonna be the king of the earth when Babylon is gone? We already looking at that. We're looking at the biggest thing is between Russia, United States, and China. Take one player out of that. China and Russia can get along, but neither one of them get along with America. Go ahead.
Thus says the Adonai Yah, are you he of whom I have spoken in old time by my servants the prophets of Israel, which prophesied in those days many years that I would bring you against them? And it shall come to pass at that time, at the same time, when Gog shall come against the land of Israel, says the Adonai Yah, that my fury shall come up in my face. For my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken, surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel. So the fishes of the sea, and the fowls of the heaven, and the beasts of the field, and all creeping things that creep upon the earth, and all the men that are upon the face of the earth, shall shake at my presence, and the mountains shall be thrown down, and the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground. And I'll call for a sword against him throughout all my mountains, says the Adonai Yah. Every man's sword shall be against his brother. And I will plead against him with the pestilence and with blood. And I will rain upon him, and upon his bands, and upon the many people that are with him, and overflowing rain, and great hailstones, fire and brimstone.
You know, when you read about these things and you're talking about the pestilence, and then, you know, we just had this so-called pandemic. Somebody put up a video that was very interesting. You know, black people love themselves some Obama, although, you know, when you get right down to the laws, Obama didn't do anything for black people in two terms. But in 2014, Obama said in one of his things that, you know, we would be having an epidemic. Who knows whether there should be an epidemic all over the earth in maybe 5 or 10 years. It was 2014. Add 5 to that. Now, was he like, the first black psychic in the White House? Go ahead.
Thus will I magnify myself and sanctify myself, and I'll be known in the eyes of many nations, and they shall know that I am Yahweh.
All right, keep going.
Therefore, you son of man, prophesy against Gog, and say, Thus says the Adonai Yah, Behold, I am against you, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. And I'll turn you back and leave but the 6th part of you, and I'll cause you to come up from the north parts, and I'll bring you upon the mountains of Israel. And I'll smite your bow out of your left hand, and I'll cause your arrows to fall out of your right hand. You shall fall upon the mountains of Israel, you and all your bands, and the people that is with you.
See, the way Yahweh gets his glory is taking down what is supposed to be the mighty powers of the earth. See, Egypt considered themselves men gods. They were men and gods at the same time. So it got Yahweh much glory to take out a place that believed that it was not only the most powerful men upon earth, but they were like gods themselves. So imagine the glory that Yahweh gets from that. See, sometimes people are allowed to climb up high so Yahweh can make a greater fall when they hit the ground. Go ahead.
I'll give you unto the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beast of the field to be devoured. You shall fall upon the open field, for I've spoken it, says the Adonai Yah. And I'll send a fire on Magog, and among them that dwell carelessly in the isles, and they shall know that I am Yahweh. So will I make my holy name known in the midst of my people Israel, and I will not let them pollute my holy name anymore. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahweh, the Holy One in Israel.
Right, and we pollute his holy name by the way in which we conduct ourselves, and then people know that we are Israel. That blasphemy doesn't go to you. That blasphemy gets accounted unto Elohim. But we so selfish, we think it's all about us. It ain't about you. It's about his name. Go ahead.
Behold, it is come, and it is done, says the Adonai Yah. This is the day whereof I have spoken. And they that dwell in the cities of Israel shall go forth, and shall set on fire and burn the weapons, both the shields and the bucklers, the bows and the arrows, and the handstaves and the spears, and they shall burn them with fire 7 years.
And understand, this is something that they get into their great summits about, doing away with the weapons. And then they just lie. They just move the weapons somewhere else and say, we got rid of those nukes. And they just moved them. But they all spying on each other. So they go up in the sky and we saw you move them. When you went over here, we saw all them trucks, and we know what you use these trucks for. You just move the things from here to there. They're all spying on each other. Go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 39 and verse 10. So that they shall take no wood out of the field, neither cut down any out of the forest. For they shall burn the weapons with fire, and they shall spoil those that spoil them, and rob those that rob them, says the Adonai Yah.
Right, and if you're dealing with the so-called Israelis, who has robbed these people? These people own banks. They own the jewelry market. They own Hollywood. When you talk about all the foul things that happen in Hollywood, understand who's in control of it. It was a Jewish creation. Hitler had a machine of information, and all media outlets have been based on Hitler's creation. He made a propaganda machine where he put out information when he was going to war to make everybody grab hold to his ideology. Everybody has mimicked it since. So Israel decided to create Hollywood to rival the things that Hitler was doing. Now, every country has their propaganda machine. People in North Korea probably believe that we really like grow tails at night, and that we fly and eat people, at nighttime. They will block their access to information, tell them whatever they want them to tell. That way, when they go to war, they'll go into war with their full heart against you. Why? Because of the power of the propaganda. So you got to understand that everybody has a propaganda machine. State-run propaganda machines. The things we see on television are the things that they want us to see on television. The only way that the Vietnam War stopped is other people went over there and started documenting what was happening. And then the social unrest happened. They started rioting in the street. They had no choice but to go ahead and back out. Now, their ego is getting them as a country, because they don't want to say, these little bit, little midgets in the woods done whooped up on us. Don't they, big bad America don't want to admit, these little midgets, he come every time we turn around, little midgets, it's like whack-a-mole. They pop up out of the hole, and go back in the hole. By the time we try to hit it with the hammer, he gone. And it's hard to play whack-a-mole with them, and they got 1,000 tunnels in one area. And that guerrilla warfare, they were not prepared for it. They pop up out of the hole, kill 10 people, go back in the hole. They were used to the old barbaric way of fighting. We just meet in the open field and we just kill until ain't nobody left to kill. They didn't know how to play whack-a-mole. See? So they came with their strategy, but they know, no, we're not gonna fight the way they fight. We're gonna fight the way we fight. And they couldn't win in whack-a-mole. They had to finally just get on up and, gather all they wanted and go back home. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass in that day that I'll give unto Gog a place there of graves in Israel, the valley of the passengers on the east of the sea. And it shall stop the noses of the passengers, and there shall they bury Gog and all his multitude, and they shall call it the valley of Haman Gog.
You have to understand just how bad that's going to smell, a place full of dead bodies. If you ever just seen, a place where there's one dead animal, you can tell that something is, something over here dead. Well, first of all, because you see them birds showing up, them vultures showing up, so something dead in the area. But then you get that smell, and that's just one. Imagine the land being cluttered with that. That's why it says the smell shall stop the nose. The wind blow. If you even get near a landfill and the wind blow right, man, you gonna know you near a landfill. That's why don't nobody want the landfill near their house. Everybody want a landfill, but don't nobody want it by their house. Go ahead.
And 7 months shall the house of Israel be burying of them, that they may cleanse the land. Yes, all the people of the land shall bury them, and it shall be to them a renown the day that I shall be glorified, says the Adonai. And they shall sever out men of continual employment, passing through the land to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth, to cleanse it. After the end of 7 months shall they search. And the passengers that pass through the land, when any sees a man's bone, then shall he set up a sign by it, till the buriers have buried it in the valley of Haman Gog. And also the name of the city shall be Hamona. Thus shall they cleanse the land.
Right. What's that city they put Israel in over there? Dimona, right? Yeah, they playing games. Put them right next to the nuclear power plant. Then turn around and kick them out. After they done let generations, and understand these people that they kicking out, these are the people who were born there. They have no connection now to where they came from. These are people who've now never been to America. So they're not sending them back. They ain't never been here. They sending them to a place that they ain't never been. Go ahead.
And you, son of man, thus says the Adonai, speak unto every feather-fouled and to every beast of the field, assemble yourselves and come, gather yourselves on every side to my sacrifice that I do sacrifice for you, even a great sacrifice upon the mountains of Israel, that you may eat flesh and drink blood.
Right. Yahweh is still dealing with this whole situation of sacrifice. Either it's going to be the sacrifice of beasts or it's going to be the sacrifice of man beasts, which are man beasts or men who do not operate in the law of Yahweh. Those beasts must be sacrificed. Go ahead.
You shall eat the flesh of the mighty and drink the blood of the princes of the earth, of rams, of lambs, and of goats, of bullocks, all of them fatlings of Bashan. And you shall eat fat till you be full, and drink blood till you be drunken, of my sacrifice which I have sacrificed for you. Thus shall you be filled at my table with horses and chariots, with mighty men, and with all men of war, says the Adonai Yah. And I'll set my glory among the heathen, and all the heathen shall see my judgment that I have executed, and my hand that I have laid upon them.
Right. This is how you get the rest of the earth to understand who not to mess with. Go ahead.
So the house of Israel shall know that I am Yahweh their El, from that day and forward. And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their lawlessness.
The house of Israel went into captivity for their lawlessness, not because you were stronger than them. That's what the nations are going to have to figure out. They're going to figure that out very harshly. Because their arrogance at this point believe that, hey, we've been able to subdue these people and keep these people subdued, and then Yahweh lifts that. It's going to be confusing to them. Where did they get all this power from? How is it we do all the things that we used to do, but now it doesn't affect them at all? Go ahead.
Because they trespassed against me. Therefore hid I my face from them.
That is how they were able to destroy the children of Israel. Because Yahweh hid his face from us. Go ahead.
And gave them into the hand of their enemies. So fell they all by the sword. According to their uncleanness and according to their transgressions have I done unto them, and hid my face from them. Therefore, thus says the Adonai Yah, now will I bring again the captivity of Jacob, and have mercy upon the whole house of Israel, and will be jealous for my holy name. After that, they have borne their shame.
After that, they have borne their shame. First, you have to repent. But we have too much pride at times to repent. So because we won't bear the shame, we don't get the positive thing that is supposed to come after that shame. Go ahead.
And all their trespass where they have trespassed against me, when they dwelt safely in their land, and none made them afraid. When I have brought them again from the people and gathered them out of their enemies' lands, and am sanctified in them in the sight of many nations, then shall they know that I am Yahweh their El, which caused them to be led into captivity among the heathen. But I have gathered them onto their own land, and have left none of them any more there.
Right. Yahweh, this is, if you understand the law of Yahweh, if you understand the whole breakdown in the beginning, Yahweh said, if you do not follow my laws, if you do not follow my culture, and be my servants, I'm going to make you servants in the land of your enemies. So slavery is a punishment unto Israel. So anytime somebody tells me that they are Israel, but they can't find any slavery in their past, I can tell you that those people are not Israel. Because it is his way of punishment. It is there from the beginning. So when you deal with this, you understand what he's talking about. They shall know that I am Yahweh their Elohim, which caused them to be led into captivity. He didn't just pick this. He said, I created you to be my servant. You were created to serve. If you don't get that through your head, you're going to have some problems. This is why everybody really, at the end of the day, they give us all these problems, but they really want you on their job. You were made to be a servant. But Yahweh says, pick you this day who you gonna serve. You can serve me, or you can serve them. But you're gonna serve. Because that's what you were created for. It's like a bike was meant for travel, right? You can leave the bike outside. Somebody gonna ride it. Either you gonna ride the bike, somebody else gonna ride the bike. But the bike gonna get rode. This is what it was created for. You have to understand how and why Yahweh created you. You are going to fulfill that purpose. The problem is, are you going to fulfill that purpose in righteousness in a way that actually works for you? Or you're going to fulfill that purpose being used by the nations? Go ahead.
Neither will I hide my face any more from them, for I have poured out my spirit upon the house of Israel, says the Adonai Yah.
All right, let's go to Micah chapter 4. See, these things that we are seeing in the news is just warming up for the ultimate things that must happen. What we are about to live through is a regime change. A regime change is one of the most tumultuous things upon the earth. Because what happens when a regime change happens, which is quite interesting, because it was Biden who said publicly, Putin cannot remain in power. That automatically gave the thought process of regime change, which is a very powerful statement to say. So you say that against one of them little bitty countries. You got to be real careful when you let something like that run out of your mouth about nuclear powers, that you have insinuated a regime change. See, this is the kind of stuff that they do in the little countries. They go over, they beat them up, and then they go and put somebody else in there. When they orchestrate a regime change, basically they put somebody in who has their interest. And basically they control that person. So that was a pretty, that was very bold talk to say that. And who they were saying it about. Go ahead.
Micah chapter 4 and verse 1. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of Yahweh shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow onto it. And many nations shall come and say, Come and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, and to the house of the Elohim of Yaakov, and he will teach us of his ways.
He will teach us of his ways. So first you have the priests of Yahweh. You have the Levitical priesthood who teaches Israel. Then you have the Levitical priesthood that was opened up so that all of Israel could be priests. Then that is where you find Yahshua coming out of the tribe of Yehuda, out of Judah, and yet he was still a priest. Then when you deal with the nations being taught, now they're not just being taught, they're not being taught by Levi, they're being taught by all Israel. So this is how the prophecy will be fulfilled that says, I have created you, you are a kingdom of priests. We got a tribe of priests, the tribe of priests is for us. The kingdom of priests is preparing us to teach the whole earth. Go ahead.
And we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth out of Zion, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among many people, and rebuke strong nations afar off, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore.
See, now you're talking about the Sabbath. You're talking about the spiritual implication of the Sabbath. Being able to be at peace and righteousness as it pertains in war. When it talks about every man under his own vine and fig tree, that's all the nations going back to the places that was designed for them. So when you get right down to it, if Yahweh allows this America to be destroyed, who ultimately loses? Nobody, because it wasn't anybody's land. You start reading in the book. They start coming here over time. This is not an allotted place. So if this place gets blown off the map, ultimately his plan, his automatic set for where the people are supposed to be, this ain't it. So ultimately the houses of the earth have not been disrupted. Even when you talk about the natives, those were just people who ended up getting here before they got here. Go ahead.
But they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid.
Right. He at his house. He in his land. And what we want to do, we are just glutton for punishment. We always want to go to somebody else's country. You know, I want to travel the earth. I want to be like Cain, and I just want to travel the earth. I want to, you know what I'm saying? I want to be in peace and tranquility. I want to learn kung fu, and I just want to move the earth. Right. And you go somewhere and find out that they put people like you in a big pot. And you think that they have invited you to dinner. No, they invited you. You are dinner. You see them bringing salt. And you're like, what y'all seasoning? We are seasoning you. What? What you doing? Man, why you putting that damn salt on my head? You are going to taste delicious. Right. Be careful about wanting to travel the earth. You want to go to all these places. At least you find out that they believe that you are delicious. Go ahead.
For the mouth of Yahweh of hosts has spoken it. For all people will walk every one in the name of his God. And we will walk in the name of Yahweh, our El, forever and ever.
Right. And you can't allow anybody to convince you to walk against the law of your God. And we always see that as being another nation. No, it'll be your own people. Because they done learned some strange practices somewhere else, and they have no problem coming up to you trying to teach you the strange doctrine that they have learned. Be right up in your face. But why do they feel comfortable getting up in your face talking about their culture? That's because you ain't stood on yours. Because once you stand on yours, they ain't going to be so eager to run up in your face no more. Go ahead.
You know, one of the biggest things is we all think that you make it to the kingdom, we're all good, we have nothing to worry about. But as you can see, the nations, the people are still worshiping their own gods. If you got itching ears, you can still be carried away and taken out the kingdom.
You got it.
We got a lot of practicing we have to do to make certain things second nature. This is the way I operate. And once you get in that routine, nothing should be able to sway you. But if you swaying left and right, frontward and backwards, every time we look at you, you gonna have problems then as well. You might make the cut in the kingdom, but don't stay in the kingdom.
You find out at any point that there's all kind of cuts. It ain't just one cut. So you find out, you know, hey, somebody be like, you know, hey, NFL player get drafted, he partying, and then he get cut 30 days later. You know what he doing? He trying to, excuse me, can y'all take this car back? I had went and bought this, and then what had him was, I made the first cut, but not the second one. But I already bought this car and I put these 24s on it. Hey, they make the other cut. You gotta understand, it's constantly a cut. Are you gonna make the next one? And then the next one? And then the next one? Because Yahweh has a tendency to get rid of things that does not profit him. So when you're looking at how a company does business, they're looking for profitability. How profitable are you to your Elohim? And if not, and so that you don't think that this is just my take on it, what does it say when Yahshua passed by, this fig tree? It didn't have any fruit. Why does it cumbereth the ground? It was not fruitful. It didn't have the right profit margin. So as a company, you cut that loss. So Yahweh is continually trying to run lean. That's not how we run this. We think the more people we get in here, the better off we are. You got to understand, Yahweh runs lean. And we invite the Spirit to come in and sup with us, and the Spirit come in and sit down and say, man, it is too many people in here. Let me see who I can get rid of. Are you going to make the cut? Because you got them seat fillers. Remember during COVID, they had fake crowds? If you look, they had fake noise. You look, and there's a bunch of statues. They had seat fillers. Yahweh don't like seat fillers. So he runs lean. So he comes back and examine. He says, I purge it. If it brings forth fruit, I purge it so I can see if it's going to bring forth more fruit. So when it brings forth more fruit, what has to happen? Seat filler got to move. Because now real fruit has shown up. Go ahead.
Verse 6. In that day, says Yahweh, will I assemble her that halteth, and I will gather her that is driven out, and her that I have afflicted. And I'll make her that halted a remnant, and her that was cast far off a strong nation. And Yahweh shall reign over them in Mount Zion from henceforth, even forever. And you, O tower of the flock, the stronghold of the daughter of Zion, unto you shall it come, even the first dominion. The kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem. Now why does you cry out aloud? Is there no king in you? Is your counselor perished? For pangs have taken you as a woman in travail. Be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion, like a woman in travail. For now shall you go forth out of every city, and you shall dwell in the field, and you shall go even to Babylon. There shall you be delivered.
There shall you be delivered. See, I'm going to purge some things out of you as I am getting ready to pick the remnant. I'm going to use even you against you to help purge you. Go ahead.
There Yahweh shall redeem you from the hand of your enemies. Now also many nations are gathered against you, that say, let her be defiled, and let our eye look upon Zion. But they know not the thoughts of Yahweh, neither understand they his counsel, for he shall gather them as the sheaves into the floor.
Right. They're being gathered together for your destruction, not understanding that they're really being gathered together for their destruction. And if you pay attention, he does the same thing on a small level, what he's going to do on a large level. So you pay attention to what goes on in the congregation, then you turn around and what happens among the nations. And you'll see you're doing the same thing. They're being gathered together for their own destruction, but they think they're being gathered together against you. Go ahead.
Arise and thresh, O daughter of Zion, for I'll make your horn iron, and I'll make your hoofs brass, and you shall beat in pieces many people, and I'll consecrate their gain unto Yahweh, and their substance unto the Adonai of the whole earth.
Because as it is, the whole earth and all the things that are in it belongs to Yahweh anyway. And if you are his sons, then everything on it is yours. So at any point he say, son, go over here and get that. Yeah, but Yahweh, that belongs to this nation. Yeah, and after you beat them, it's going to be yours. Now go on over there and get it. Now, when you look at it in our level, you look at that and you say, you know, is that righteous, Yahweh? That you would have us to go over and beat these people up and take their stuff? You got to come outside your level of understanding. No. You see all this stuff? All of my stuff. I gave them the stuff and they didn't deal with it right. You are about to be judgment to them, and then you are going to get the stuff that I gave to them before I'm giving it to you. And I'm just not going to give it to you. I'm going to make you earn what I'm giving to you. So it is yours. It is yours. It's got your name on it. It's going to throw you off when you get over there and you turn the stuff upside on the other side and it say property of Esaac. I ain't never been over here. How does it got my name on? I told you it was yours, isn't it? But see, you had to go over there and turn it upside down before you saw your name on the bottom of it. See, I knew it was yours when I made it. I knew it was yours when I gave it to them. They was just holding your stuff. It was never theirs. But I needed to prove to them that they were wicked. So I let them hold your stuff for a little while. Go ahead.
That was it.
That was it. Let's go to
Zechariah.
Zechariah chapter 3.
And he showed me Yahshua the high priest standing before the angel of Yahweh, and Satan standing at his right hand to resist him.
And is that not what we can read in Matthew as Yahshua receives his baptism and is fasting for 40 days? Is Lucifer not at his hand, his side to resist him? As soon as, and understand the difference of what we're dealing with. You got Yahshua in the physical sense, but Yahshua was baptized and the spirit of Israel came and dwelt in that body. Now it's a fight between two spirits, Satan and Israel. Yeah, physically he was trying to destroy the body, but you notice the adversary, the devil, didn't come straight up at Yahshua as a child. Why not? He already knows that the spirit has to enter into this body. So he's trying to destroy the body before the spirit gets into it. He couldn't do that. So when he knew for a fact that the spirit descended in the bodily shape of a dove upon that baptism and rested upon that body, now it's spiritual wartime. That's why I tell people, you know, we listening to people and allowing people to teach us. They spiritual fetuses. They ain't even been baptized. They ain't been born. How you gonna let them teach you? Even Yahshua in his greatness, what happened? It says, unless you be born again, you shall not enter into this kingdom. What happens? After he received this baptism, he changed. And your key part about that is Lucifer came at him stronger. Pay attention. Out of all these times that Lucifer could have come at him, he came at him face to face after that baptism. Why? Oh no, they know each other. They've known each other for what we know as millions of years. They know each other. So some people might have been witnessing one thing, but they didn't know the spiritual implications of what was happening. They saw two men, or they might have known some things. They don't know what's really happening. This is the adversary, the devil, using everything around him to come at Yahshua. Yahshua knows that that's a spirit that he's fighting, and the spirit know that he's fighting the spirit. And it's the same what we face. We see people in front of us. What we don't see is the spirit that's driving those people. Go ahead.
You know, brothers, like you said, you know, if we pay attention, nothing ever changes. in our natural infancy out in the world, we didn't have the attacks. So those of us, when we get the baptism and we see that hard attack, you need to probably sit back and say, okay, what am I going to become that Lucifer knows that he's coming at me so hard?
Right.
And those of you who ain't getting it, you might look at that too, because you might just be one that's not rooted properly.
You already on your team.
Exactly.
Why you don't go and kick your goalie? You know what I'm saying? Why you gonna kick your goalie? You know what I'm saying? He on your team. Now if he don't know he on your team, that's his problem. But he not gonna tear down his own team. Go ahead.
Verse 2. And Yahweh said unto Satan, Yahweh rebuke you, O Satan, even Yahweh that has chosen Jerusalem rebuke you. Is not this a brand plucked out of the fire?
Now, what do you think happened within the exchange between Yahweh and Satan? He is doing this very thing. So the prophecy is talking about Yahshua the high priest. This is Yahshua the high priest going at it in the New Testament with Satan, and people still don't recognize what's going on. Even has the same name, Yahshua the high priest. You have to get further on into the New Testament where it says that Yahshua is our high priest. This is what made it easier for the adversary, the devil, to mimic the story. See, as it is written, let it be done on earth as it is in heaven. So Lucifer's already in heaven. He's looking at everything, right? He's close to Yahweh, being a covering cherub. He sees everything. Okay. Now, when Yahweh decides to create man, let us make man, he knows that man is going to be in a lighter or smaller image than Yahweh, right? Than what the angels are set up upon. So he automatically knows what to defile then. All right. So he gonna get them holy days. We read in Job, what? It was 2 times back to back that the angels came to make an appearance, and Lucifer came also. So he automatically know. All right. Yahweh gonna set the same thing up on earth. They gonna have holy days. I'm gonna get to them and I'm gonna teach them something else. I'm gonna get to them before he get to them. Because see, Yahweh's not in a hurry to teach us his things. The liar is always in a hurry to get to you. Okay? The liar has to get to you first, so that you will show some kind of allegiance to the lie. So that when you hear the truth, you don't really know what to do with it. Go ahead.
Now Yahshua was clothed with filthy garments and stood before the angel.
He was sacrificed, and all, remember, they cast lots upon his vesture. Go ahead.
And he answered and spake unto those that stood before him, saying, Take away the filthy garments from him. And unto him he said, Behold, I have caused your lawlessness to pass from you, and I will clothe you with the change of raiment. And I said, Let them set a fair mitre upon his head. So they set a fair mitre upon his head, and clothed him with the garments. And the angel of Yahweh stood by.
Right. Clothe him with garments. The priests have certain garments that they wear. The priests have a head covering, not just a head covering. This is a special head covering. Go ahead.
And the angel of Yahweh protested unto Yahshua, saying, Thus said Yahweh of hosts, If you will walk in my ways, and if you will keep my charge, then you shall also judge my house, and shall also keep my courts. And I'll give you places to walk among these that stand by. Hear now, O Yahshua the high priest, you and your fellows that sit before you, for they are men wondered at. For, behold, I'll bring forth my servant, the branch.
What was Yahshua called? Go ahead.
For behold, the stone that I have laid before Yahshua, upon one stone shall be 7 eyes.
And when we read in Isaiah, it says that Yahshua had all 7 spirits. Those 7 eyes are the 7 spirits. Go ahead.
Behold, I'll engrave the graving thereof, says Yahweh of hosts, and I'll remove the lawlessness of that land in one day. In that day, says Yahweh of hosts, shall you call every man his neighbor under the vine and under the fig tree.
Under the vine and under the fig tree. So understanding that every man is going to have to go to the place of their fathers. Let's go to Revelation chapter 20.
Revelations chapter 20 and verse 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahshua, and for the word of Elohim, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image.
Now, so what's happening here? And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahshua. We believe that if we believe in Yahshua, then nothing bad is going to happen unto us. Understand something? They earn their seats. See, a lot of times we think we earn our seat by just getting there early. You can get there early all you want. Yahshua going to remove you out that seat. That seat ain't yours. See, that's how the slick operate. Go ahead.
And which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads.
This is how they earn their seat. Go ahead.
Or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with the Mashiach 1,000 years. But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection.
This is the first resurrection. So the first part of peace is lived without the evil. They're not present. This is why it's peaceful. As it is written, cast out the scorner and contention will cease. You find people that's mad and they blame everybody about their anger. Then you find, okay, well, that person gone. Why are you still angry? Go ahead.
Blessed and holy is he that has part in the first resurrection. On such the second death has no power, but they shall be priests of Elohim and of the Anointed One, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison.
So when Satan is loosed out of his prison, then he goes and does something. Go ahead.
And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog.
Okay, so then you go back to the things that we have read and you find out that people are putting that in the wrong context. Because first of all, they don't want to deal with it being upon us. They don't want to deal with that as Israel has returned and this is happening unto Israel. They need to find a way to fit that into their existence. Go ahead.
To gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and compassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city. And fire came down from Elohim out of heaven, and devoured them. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before Elohim, and the books were opened, and another book was opened.
Right. Each one of you got a book. And you have to consider how your book going to be read. See, your book is going to be judged against the books. So you can believe what you want, you can think what you want, you can feel what you want. You can hide all the day long. But the stuff in that book gonna make the hairs on your neck stand up. Because you done forgot some of the stuff that's in your book. But you're gonna remember it as they start getting close. Because you're gonna remember, oh my God, please don't read page 426. Please don't read page, oh my God, he reading it. You're gonna realize by page 423, what's on page 426. That's your book. And your book gonna be judged against the great book. All right. This is what it says you're supposed to do. This is what you did. This is what it says you're supposed to do. This is what you did. See, we're so busy reading these books that we don't consider. You got a book. Go ahead.
Which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works.
Right. But, we have people that say, I read out of the book of the dead. Yahweh got the book of life and you got the book of the dead. The hell I want to read that book for? Go ahead.
And the sea gave of the dead which were in it.
Right. And it's a lot of dead in the sea. A part of them are in the sea because they thought it was feng shui to end up in there. Because instead of burying themselves, they put themselves on a raft and set themselves on fire and pushed them out to sea. And then their ashes, get spread all across the earth. They think that's cool. Yahweh gonna go and pick up every last bit and piece of them and put them all back together so they can have judgment. So finally, there go one little, I was missing that one little speck. There you go. Now you a whole. Now I can burn you again. Go ahead.
And death and the grave deliver up the dead which were in them.
Uh-huh.
And they were judged every man according to their works.
Every man will be judged according to the things that he has done. See, there's a reason why you're not going to have certain things read on in Sunday morning worship. Because it's hooping and hollering and making everybody feel good. Understanding that you're going to be judged by the things that's written in your book, it don't make you just when you consider any hooping and hollering, have you ever heard hooping and hollering after this? And every man shall be judged according to his works. Hallelujah! No, you ain't never heard that, have you? There's a reason why. See, if you want to put forth this song and dance and everybody feel good, that means you have to go past these things. Ain't nobody screaming glory after this. Then they're going to open your book and they're going to read it and they're going to judge you. Ain't nobody just jump up dancing. Ooh, they're going to judge me. They're going to judge me. No. You ain't never heard that song? You ain't never heard that song? Read, brother.
And death and the grave was cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death.
Uh-huh.
And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire.
Right. Understand that. These things are read so that you might make changes in your life. But the people who are teaching you to don't worry, be happy, are leading you into the lake of fire. Go ahead, brother.
It's just at verse 14, because sometimes I change the word. Well, we've always been taught that hell was the lake of fire.
Right.
So how you going to throw the lake of fire in the lake of fire?
Right. Hell is the grave. That means he going to dig you out of that earth and you're going to stand up to face judgment. So the people who are dead, they are not in hell and they ain't in heaven. And it's the first lie we hear at every funeral. Oh, he down looking at us. No, he ain't. He in that box looking up. And he sleep. All right? He sleep. And when it talks about resurrection, you notice that these all come up. You notice ain't nobody coming down? I thought you said he was in heaven. So when it come time for this judgment, why ain't nobody coming down then? See, the lies don't fit what's written in the book. So what they have to do is just avoid these things and then call you all kind of names when you read them. Say something is wrong with you. But every last one of these things, these people are coming up, not down. So they all get together and tell the same lie at every funeral. And they all know it's a lie. But it make the people feel good. And that way you can charge $25,000 for a funeral. Because ain't nobody paying $25,000 for you to tell them that their Uncle Elroy is going to hell. Ain't nobody paying you $25,000 for that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You want that $25, you gonna tell these people that Elroy is looking down on us. And see, that's other than that, this check gonna bounce. Now what you gonna do? All right then, well, Elroy in heaven. There it is. That's why they getting that money. They go in there so you can make Elroy family feel good. All right, bro, let's go to Isaiah chapter 10. And you know, we go to them funerals and we know they lying. Because we know that was a rotten son of a sitting in that box. We know that son was just rotten. Rotten to the core. And everybody get up there and say all these nice lies. He was this, he was that. I know it's some funerals they better not invite me to. They're going to cut my mic off. No. Folk ain't took care of their kids. They go over there talking about, oh, they was wonderful. Kids done suffered the whole time. He's a great father. Great father to who? The kids sitting there looking like, what, did he have some kids we didn't know about? Because he damn sure wasn't no good father to us. Isaiah chapter 10, and let's start that at verse 12.
Wherefore it shall come to pass that when the Adonai has performed his whole work upon Mount Zion and on Jerusalem, I'll punish the fruit of the stout heart of the king of Assyria and the glory of his high looks. For he says, by the strength of my hand have I done it, and by my wisdom. For I am prudent, and I have removed the bonds of the people, and have robbed their treasures. And I have put down the inhabitants like a valiant man. And my hand has found as a nest the riches of the people, and as one gathers eggs that are left, have I gathered all the earth, and there was none that moved the wing, or opened the mouth, or peeped. Shall the axe boast itself against him that heweth therewith? Or shall the saw magnify itself against him that shaketh it? As if the rod should shake itself against them that lift it up, or as if the staff should lift up itself, as if it were no wood. Therefore shall the Adonai of hosts, send among his fat ones leanness, and under his glory he shall kindle a burning like the burning of a fire. And the light of Israel shall be for a fire, and his Holy One for a flame, and it shall burn and devour his thorns and his briars in one day, and shall consume the glory of his forest, and of his fruitful field, both soul and body, and they shall be as when a standard bearer faints. And the rest of the trees of his forest shall be few, that a child may write them. And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel, and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob, shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. The remnant shall return, even the remnant of Jacob, unto El Shaddai.
Right. The remnant shall return. All of Israel is not going to return. And the first thing we want to do is to try to invite everybody, thinking that everybody can deal with the righteousness of Yahweh. No, he's making a place for the remnant. He already knows. He said, this is my people, but I can't bring all of them. Because there are many vain talkers among Israel. As it is written. Go ahead.
For though your people Israel be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return.
Yet a remnant shall return. He's not saving everybody. And you need to get that through your head. Go ahead.
The consumption decreed shall overflow with righteousness. For the Adonai Yahweh of hosts shall make a consumption, even determined in the midst of all the land. Therefore thus says the Adonai Yahweh of hosts, O my people that dwelleth in Zion, be not afraid of the Assyrian. He shall smite you with a rod, and shall lift up his staff against you, after the manner of Egypt. For yet a very little while, and the indignation shall cease, and mine anger in their destruction.
Right. And what Israel and the nations do not want to deal with, they do not want to deal with the righteous judgment of Yahweh. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 3. They do not want to deal with any part of it.
Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 1. They say, if a man put away his wife, and she go from him, and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But you have played the harlot with many lovers.
You have played the harlot with many lovers. We go off and worship all kinds of things. Understand, even when you deal with this Hebrew Israelite culture, it ain't just one branch of Hebrew Israelite culture. This is why I say you got to be careful when you go somewhere, and you had a job interview, and they say, you know, you get to talking about what you are, you better learn those words. I practice Messianic Judaism. You better learn them words, because if you say Hebrew Israelite, I guarantee you what pops in their head is them purple fools on the corner and them dudes cussing everybody out. You got to understand what they going to come up with. So be careful in what circle you in and how you explain those things. Yeshua was an Israelite, but he wasn't no Israelite like the Pharisees. He wasn't an Israelite like the Sadducees, but he was an Israelite. So he's got to explain that clearly so they are able to make a distinction between him and them. But y'all know these ain't this kind of people. They're not going to work very hard to figure out a difference in between you. That's your job. Go ahead.
Yet return again to me, says Yahweh. Lift up your eyes onto the high places, and see where you have not been lain with. In the ways have you sat for them.
Check this out. They say if a man go away from his wife, and she go from him, and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But you have played the harlot with many lovers, yet return unto me. So we say, you know what? I mean, I don't really worship there, but I want to go to church over here with these people. You know, I don't really do this, but you know, I'm going to hang out with the Hare Christians. I'm going to see what they're doing this week. You know, I just got a Quran last week. You know, I'm going to go by there and see what King Louis is saying. You keep laying down with different spirits. And then you're dealing with people who laying down with different spirits. Then you invite them people unto your gathering, and now 5 spirits come out of that person. Why? Because they've been worshiping in all those places. They have lain with many lovers. Go ahead.
As the Arabian in the wilderness, and you have polluted the land with your whoredoms and with your wickedness. Therefore the showers have been withholden, and there has been no latter rain, and you have had a whore's forehead. You refuse to be ashamed.
Right, because they believe it's covered. Go ahead.
Will you not from this time cry unto me, my Father, you are the God of my youth? Will he reserve his anger forever? Will he keep it to the end? Behold, you have spoken and done evil things as you could. Yahweh said also unto me in the days of Uzziah the king, have you seen that which backsliding Israel has done? She's gone up upon every high mountain and under every green tree, and there has played the harlot.
Right, because they were worshiping gods. See, they put their gifts under their green tree. We call it Christmas. They called it something else because Christ wasn't there then. But it's the same practice. There's some gifts that you couldn't open until your mom and daddy got up, and you had to go ahead and get them from up under the tree. And Yahweh said, you playing the harlot against me. So then you consider those things that we got to get off into. We got the internet. So we can be remote whoredom. We can be whores on the information superhighway. Most whores just get out on, Highway 46. We can be whores on the information superhighway. We have been whores in many towns. We're going to join this congregation. We're going to join that congregation. We're going to be a part of that. Getting all different spirits in all them different locations and wonder why they confused. Go ahead.
And I said after she had done all these things, turn you on to me. But she returned not, and her treacherous sister Yehuda saw it. And I saw, when for all the causes whereby backsliding Israel committed adultery, I had put her away, and given her a bill of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Yehuda feared not, but went and played the harlot also.
Right, you already saw that somebody else was dealt with for this action, yet you kept doing the same thing. Go ahead.
And it came to pass through the lightness of her whoredom that she defiled the land and committed adultery with stones and with stocks. And yet for all this, her treacherous sister Yehuda has not turned on to me with her whole heart, but feignedly, says Yahweh.
See, the heathen can get away with halfway worshiping Yahweh. We're not going to get away with that. That's why those people in Israel have been allowed to still stay there, although they have every foul thing under the sun going on in that land. Yahweh will allow that for the heathen because they were not given his law. You ain't going to have that opportunity. He's going to expect you to go to the houses of the Sodomites and burn it down, run the Sodomites out. And that house got to come down, especially if it's anywhere near a house of hill. You can't be inclusive. We're going to include everybody. Hey, man, no, let them go over there and worship their God. They can't do it here. That's the thing that you actually find that's gracious unto Yahweh. That he says, all right, I'm going to set up peace on the earth. He still didn't say that everybody in the whole earth was going to worship him. Now they're going to come up and keep these holy days. Why? Because all males must come up 3 times out the year, and they must make an appearance, and they must bring an offering. Their offering is going to take care of you. All right, now go on back over there and worship y'all God. But make sure you had that offering here on the 15th. But go on back over there now. Go on back over there. So even when they accept the things of Yahweh, they still got their own thing going on over there. And he allows certain things when it ain't in his land. When it ain't his people. Now, your ancestors stood before the mount that burned and said, all the things that Yahweh have said we will do. You offer hereby hell to that agreement that was entered in by your forefathers. You shall not get out of it. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto me, the backsliding Israel has justified herself more than treacherous Yehuda. Go and proclaim these words toward the north, and say, return, you backsliding Israel, says Yahweh, and I will not cause mine anger to fall upon you, for I am merciful, says Yahweh, and I'll not keep anger forever.
Right, and this is what you have the biggest problem with anytime somebody gets into a situation. Go ahead.
Only acknowledge your lawlessness.
This is where we have the biggest problem. When you look at almost every situation of where somebody has been purged out of the congregation, it was all based upon they would not acknowledge their lawlessness. We have stood by and watched people call forums for other people. Then when it was their time, they left out of here so fast. They weren't going to stand in the forum, but they were willing to call forums for other people. They could not stand and acknowledge the lawlessness that they themselves did. Go ahead.
That you have transgressed against Yahweh Elohim, and has scattered your ways to the strangers under every green tree, and you have not obeyed my voice, says Yahweh. Turn, O backsliding children, says Yahweh, for I am married unto you. And I'll take you one of a city and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion.
Right. One of a city and two of a family. What if he done already picked the two that he has from your family? And you think you might know the other one. The other one in your family might be in Kansas. You keep thinking, I'm looking for another one in my family. So I'm going to bring my cousin, my auntie, my mama, uncle, brother, sister. I'm going to bring all these people because I'm looking for the one. No. You the one. What you looking for is somebody to take your seat. He done already picked that other seat. You keep thinking you looking for somebody to fulfill the other seat. What you about to do is lose your seat. Go ahead.
And I'll give you pastors according to mine heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding.
Pastors that are according to his heart do the things that's pleasing unto him, not things that are pleasing unto you. Because they're pastors after his heart, not pastors after your feelings. Understand the difference. Now you get rich being the pastor of people's feelings. But you're going to lose all that in the lake of fire, so what good is it really going to do you? Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass, when you be multiplied and increase in the land, in those days, says Yahweh, they shall say no more, the ark of the covenant of Yah. Neither shall it come to mind, neither shall they remember it, neither shall they visit it, neither shall that be done anymore.
Because all these things should be inside you. Why should the law, the ark of the covenant contain what? The law, Aaron's rod that budded, and the manna, right? But if all that's in you, what we need the ark of the covenant for? The law's supposed to be inside you. I don't need to go and look in the box for the law. If you got a circumcised heart, the law is inside you. If I want to see the law, I open you up. Go ahead.
At that time they shall call Jerusalem the throne of Yahweh, and all the nations shall be gathered unto it, to the name of Yahweh, to Jerusalem. Neither shall they walk any more after the imagination of their evil heart. In those days the house of Yehudah shall walk with the house of Israel, and they shall come together out of the land of the north to the land that I have given for an inheritance unto your fathers. But I said, how shall I put you among the children, and give you a pleasant land, a goodly heritage of the host of nations? And I said, you shall call me my father, and shall not turn away from me. Surely as a wife treacherously departs from her husband, so have you dealt treacherously with me, O house of Israel.
So have you dealt treacherously with me. Let's go to Galatians chapter 3. I just want to read this one thing out of here. And when you consider some of the things that we have been made to endure, you understand why the children of Israel are the only ones on the earth that's looking for a savior. Who else on the earth is looking for a savior? Russians ain't looking for a savior. Chinese ain't looking for a savior. Even the Europeans of America, they ain't looking for a savior. What they need saving for? They're supposed to be the leaders of the free world. The so-called Jewish, they own almost every bank and every television network. What are they being saved from? Who are the people that are scattered all over the earth who are still looking for Savior? Read verse 13.
The Mashiach has redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. For it is written...
Now, a lot of people don't even understand that. He has redeemed us from the curse of the law. The curse of the law is whenever something was committed in that law, something else had to die. Blood must be shed to make an atonement for sin. So he then became a curse for the law, he has redeemed us from the curse because he became a curse. Go ahead.
Cursed is everyone that hangs on a tree.
Cursed is everyone that hangs on a tree. So this is a symbol of the cursed, the hanging on the tree. So understand something. I said that so I can deal with this next thing here on that 240 bills have been introduced, but this is the only one that has passed since 1900 that they have now made lynching illegal. It is a hate crime up to a certain amount of time in prison. And you look at all of this time that it has taken for them to say it was obviously a form of racial hatred. You don't when somebody get ready to kill an Asian, how many Asians you seen hanging from a tree? How many white people you seen hanging from a tree? Even when you deal with other black people, you've seen any Ethiopians hanging from trees? So it ain't about color then, is it? It's about a specific group of people. As it is written, cursed is he that hangs on a tree. These people were trying to make sure that we, remember now, in their mind, we were cursed black. You got to put two and two together. Why? This is a thing for us. What happens when you see the white supremacist and he has a noose hanging in the back of his truck? That noose ain't for everybody. That noose for you. So when Yahweh talks about redeeming the children of Israel, he knows what we are up against. That it has taken this long for these people to actually acknowledge their lawlessness. 240 bills. It took that much for them to acknowledge their lawlessness. Now, they're still not doing anything about it. Okay? This is just them acknowledging it. They're not going back and dealing with any of the wrongs that were done. This is just acknowledgement. That's all this is. But it has taken 120 years for them to do that. Let's go to Matthew chapter 19. And you know, dealing in the daughter of Babylon is like so bittersweet. We don't know what to do. I mean, we are really the richest ex-slaves on the face of the planet. Okay? So we have a very interesting dilemma. There are parts of Babylon that we absolutely love. Let's just come on. Let's go ahead and put it out there. We want all of these things, but understand, the house that you live in is a mansion in another country. Let's just go ahead and be real about this thing. So there's some parts about righteous judgment that we want, and there's other parts that we look. I just put new windows in that house. I ain't trying to lose it, man. Yeah, well, you're not coming for judgment this week, is you? He laughing because he know I just got new windows. See, y'all don't even know when I be dealing with myself. He do. All right, let's go to Matthew chapter 19. Matthew chapter 19, and let's read verses 27 through 30.
And whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant, even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister.
Where you at? Where you at?
Where am I?
Matthew 19.
I went over to 20.
All right.
One chapter too far over. Matthew 19, verse 27, right?
Yep. Look, everybody done parted. I see a lot of y'all dozing.
Hey.
See, y'all can't. See, we talk about these kids, but I'm seeing some grown people in here who can't hang. See, we hung last night. And you know, we hung till the police came. You know what I'm saying? The po-po pull up, hit the light. Hey, man, we got a noise ordinance out here. What y'all doing? I said, we celebrating Hebrew New Year. He said, what y'all celebrating? I said, Hebrew New Year. He said, okay. All right. I like this music. I like what's going on out here. Let me go get out and go say hey to the kids. I said, go ahead. I said, well, we're going to finish it tonight. He said, that sounds like a good plan. I said, so 12 o'clock, they noise ordinance, right? He said, yeah. I said, well, we're going to get started pretty early then. I got a lot of stuff to blow off. Go ahead, bro.
Then answered Cephas and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed you. What shall we have therefore?
We have forsaken all and followed you. See? Instead of them trying to bring every member of their family, they done left them. No, I'm going to follow Yahshua. If my family don't walk like that, they can walk by themselves. They can walk along a desert road for all I care. I'm going to follow Yahshua. Hey, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm dealing with. If I got to forsake a wife, if I have to forsake kid, if I have to walk away from that house, I'm going to look back at them windows. But I got to go. I got to go. Because it's Zion or bust, baby. That's the only option I'm entertaining. And whoever get left, they get left. I'm going to have to do it like it is done in the wilderness. When an antelope look back and that lion done caught him, they look. They don't just go over there and become dinner too. They look, they pause for a second at the top of the hill. They way away from the lion. And they get one last one. And the daddy let them know he's stuck. All right, time for it to go. And they got to go. Ain't nothing stopping me from making this journey. And anything that hinders that journey is going to get left. I'm going to look at you from the top of that hill and I'm alone. I might cry. But at some point, I'm going, let's go. We got to keep moving. Go ahead.
And Yahshua said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that you which have followed me, in the regeneration when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, you also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
They have earned their spot. This is how the remnant earns the place that is prepared for them. So you can't just come jump in the spot that the remnant have worked for. They worked for this spot. You don't just get that spot because you got up early one day. And I'm going to beat them to the spot. Go ahead.
And everyone that has forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife.
Why would one have to forsake these individuals? Because they're not going to walk. And if you ain't careful, they're going to hinder your walk. Mm-hmm. So be careful. Lest you try to bring all of these things that's going to cause you to lose your seat. Go ahead.
Or children, or lands.
Children, check that out. Yeah, folk end up losing their salvation for their child. Because they don't want to deal with certain things when it comes to their children. And that end up causing them to lose their salvation. It might be better for you. See, there's certain things that we don't even consider. It might be better that you don't have children. And Yahweh know you ain't ready to have a child yet. And you think, I'm ready. I love kids. Right. You love them so much that they will cause you to lose your salvation. Maybe that's why he ain't gave you none yet. Because you're going to turn around and let them cause your salvation to be lost. The child is supposed to be led. The child ain't supposed to be leading you. Go ahead.
For my name's sake shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life.
And understand, Yahweh got things waiting for us. Be careful what you ask for. Them houses that we going to inherit that we didn't build, you might get to them houses and they already got kids and a wife in it. Who are you? Who you? And who are these kids? We have been waiting on you. What? Wait, no, who? Hey, Daddy. What? Who kid these there? What it say in the book? Where have these been? Seeing I have lost my children, where these come from? You don't know what you're walking into in the kingdom. You think you're walking in by yourself? There's a whole family waiting on you. And they sitting there looking at you like waiting for somebody at the airport. No, that ain't him. No, that's him right there. That's the one I seen in my dream right there. You like, you seen me where? In my dream. No, well, I'm going to have to go to sleep again because somebody's going to have to see me the dream, give me the dream that you got. Lo and behold, then Yahweh give it to you. Then you understand. No, this is where you're supposed to be right here. All that stuff it looked like you lost, that's because I got something else for you. Go ahead.
But many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first.
All right, let's go to John chapter 14. See, the biggest thing is thinking that we can read this book and somehow know the ultimate plan of Yahweh. You are really fooling yourself. Yahweh can tell you exactly what he gonna do, and you still can't figure out how he gonna do it. You can stay up all night. I mean, you can listen to scholars. You can just get the most expensive books. You can do all of these things. And you still won't be able to figure out how Yahweh is going to do something. That's why you have to be careful when you pray. You do not know how he's going to answer that. You have your mind set on the ultimate thing of what you want. You do not know how he's going to do that. I have now looked back at my life and saw some things that I asked for. And now I realize what Yahweh had to do to give me what I asked for. And it shook my whole family up. But that was something I asked for. So you pray for something, but you might want to put your seatbelt on and get ready. Because the scariest thing in your life may be that he answers your prayer. And the whole time he answering it, you sitting there wondering, when is Yahweh going to answer my prayer? I think Yahweh probably ain't remember. Hey, where this come from? You don't even know the prayer been answered. Then you got to look back. Wait a minute. So that's why he did this, this, and this, and this? See, Yahweh knows a way to give you what it is you ask for without it killing you, without it destroying you, and without you losing your salvation when you get it. But you want what you want, and you want it right now. It's my money, and I want it now. But he know you're going to get destroyed if you get it now. He don't have to just prepare it for you. He got to prepare you for it. John chapter 14, and let's start at verse 1.
Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in Elohim, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you.
Right. I go to prepare a place for you, not a place for everybody. Go ahead.
And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also.
Jump to verse 7.
If you had known me, you should have known my Father also, and from henceforth you know him, and have seen him.
Why? Because the doctrine's the same. See? To know me is to know my Father. The doctrine that I speak is not mine, it's his. You know us. If you know me, you know us. Go ahead.
Philip says unto him, Adne, show us the Father, and it suffice us. Yahshua says unto him, have I been so long time with you, and yet have you not known me, Philip? He that has seen me has seen the Father.
Mm-hmm.
And how saith you then, show us the Father? Believe you not that I am in the Father, and the Father in me? The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself.
Right.
But the Father that dwells in me, he does the works.
Understand there. So then that's the spirit that we're talking about. See? You have to recognize the spirit that somebody's entertaining. Go ahead.
Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me, or else believe me for the very work's sake. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believes on me, the works that I do shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father.
Greater works than these. How are we going to do greater works than him? Different time frame offers different abilities. From the place that we are speaking from, we are now speaking to people all over the country and outside of the country. Yet I'm sitting in one place. Yeshua had to physically go from place to place to place. We are doing greater works, not because we are greater servants, but there's greater technology that is available to us. Go ahead.
And whatsoever you shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. If you love me, keep my commandments.
Don't just scream you love me and run around shout glory. If you love me, where's the proof of that love? You know, you hear people say, you know, man, I really love my family. Okay. All right. So, what was the last light bill you paid at where your family live? Huh? What's the last rent you paid where your family live? Huh? Did you provide a vehicle for your family to get to and from where they gotta go? Huh? Where's that love you speak of? Where's the evidence of that love that you speak of? See, when you love something, you cherish it, you take care of it. Where that love at? That's just love coming out your mouth. Where's the substance of that love that you claim? Go ahead.
And I'll pray the Father, and he shall give you another comforter, that he may abide with you forever. Even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it sees him not, neither knows him. But you know him, for he dwells with you, and shall be in you. I will not leave you comfortless. I will come to you.
Check that out. Even the Spirit of truth. Please don't believe that the Spirit of truth is going to always bring you happiness. The Spirit of truth may run every member of your family away from you. That you come and bring forth the Spirit of truth in this word, and they scatter like roaches when the light cut on. That's what the Spirit of truth do. So this may sound inviting, but understand, the Spirit of truth divides households. Go ahead.
Yet a little while, and the world sees me no more. But you see me, because I live, you shall live also. At that day you shall know that I am in my Father, and you in me, and I in you. He that has my commandments and keeps them, he it is that loves me. And he that loves me shall be beloved of my Father, and I'll love him, and will manifest myself to him. Yehuda says unto him, not Iscariot, Adonai, how is it that you will manifest yourself unto us, and not unto the world? Yahshua answered and said unto him, if a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and we will come unto him, and make our abode with him. He that loves me not keeps not my sayings, and the word which you hear is not mine, but the Father's which sent me. These things have I spoken unto you, being yet present with you. But the Comforter, which is the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, he shall teach you all things, and bring all things to your remembrance, whatsoever I have said unto you.
All right, brother, let's go to Luke 14. I want to jump to Luke 14 and 7. We went too far in John.
Okay. Yeah.
My bad.
No worries. Luke chapter 14.
Luke 14 and verse 7.
Man, we let the Spirit do what it do.
I know, right?
Luke chapter 14 and verse 7. And he puts forth a parable to those which are bidden, when he marked how they chose out the chief rooms, saying unto them, when you are bidden of any man to a wedding.
Now this is Yahshua looking at how they are dealing, and he now puts forth this parable because of their actions. Yahshua is constantly correcting his disciples. He's constantly giving them knowledge, wisdom, and understanding about how to deal with things. So upon seeing this, then he offers this. It says, and he put forth a parable to those which were bidden, when he marked how they chose out the chief rooms. So after watching these people, he was much harder on his disciples than anybody else. Okay? But after witnessing this, then he comes forth this. Go ahead.
You know, with what you're just saying about being harder on his disciples. And that's where we all get, man, you keep picking on me, man. Or why does brother keep coming at me? Or why does sister? You know, you think back to school, or I do. I had this one teacher. We always clashed, always going at it. And I'm like, this lady don't like me. One day I get a substitute, and the substitute said, who's home so-and-so? I say, me. I said, well, she tell you that I'm the troublemaker? He said, no, actually it says if I need help with the class to ask you. What? And of course, everybody, you mean him, the troublemaker? Nah, she saw something in me that she was trying to get out of me. But hey, I was too busy kicking and screaming.
That's what we normally do when somebody's trying to get something out of us, ain't it? Or trying to make us reach to a level that we don't want to reach for. Because we comfortable at the level where we are. Go ahead.
When you are bidden of any man to a wedding, sit not down in the highest room, lest a more honorable man than you be bidden of him.
Right. Be careful how you enter a situation. If I'm new in the situation, or I'm new to a place, the last thing I'm finna do is come in here and start telling you this and that, and you ought to move this over here. You know, if I was you, I'd open up this door bigger. You should have enough. How about come sit down and shut up? Learn how to be somewhere. Sit you in a low place. This is just not a situation that's physical. Sit in a low place. Sit, as my elder would say, keep your mouth closed and your ears and eyes open, and you might learn something. You might be going and running off your mouth to the biggest killer in the room. This person is trying to repent from killing, and this is the one you go and poke at soon as you walk in the door. Had you sat down and kept your mouth closed, you would have figured out, why they all seem to move every time he comes in the room? Oh, he's the killer. See, had you just observed and kept your mouth closed, you would have learned something. But you automatically come in a room and sit in a high place, you have put yourself in a bad situation. Sit in a low place. Learn what happens before you jump yourself off into something that you can't get out of. Go ahead.
And he that bade you and him come and say to you, give this man place, and you begin with shame to take the lowest room.
Now you ashamed because you exalted yourself and went up to a seat that you didn't deserve to be sitting in. Go ahead.
But when you are bidden, go and sit down in the lowest room, that when he that bade you comes, he may say unto you, friend, go up higher. Then shall you have worship in the presence of them that sit at meat with you.
Right. See, the seat was already prepared for the other individual. It didn't matter who got there first. That seat was already set aside for this individual. See, their previous work has secured their seat. I don't care if you got there the day before and stood outside at the door. When he get there, you're going to move. Go ahead.
For whosoever exalts himself shall be abased, and he that humbles himself shall be exalted.
Right, and understand that. Y'all see who are amongst us. We have members that have been here longer than y'all. Some of y'all. I recognize some of them by their email. That's how I'm going to, when people say, well, you know, I've been listening to you for years. What's your email? No, you ain't. I don't know that email. Do understand? And don't get your feelings hurt. If some of them show up, and I might say, hey, brother, get up. Let that sister sit down. That sister been here longer than you. You ain't never seen the sister. I ain't never seen the sister. But I remember that email. That email been around here for years. Move. Sit down. They're not already prepared that seat. Go ahead.
Then said he also to him that bade him, when you make it a dinner or a supper, call not your friends, nor your brethren, neither your kinsmen, nor your rich neighbors, lest they also bid you again, and a recompense be made you.
Understand, this is your dinner. When you make a dinner or a supper, this ain't Yahweh's. Go ahead.
But when you make it a feast, call the poor, the maimed, the lame, the blind, and you shall be blessed, for they cannot recompense you, for you shall be recompensed at the resurrection of the just. And when one of them that sat at meat with him heard these things, he said unto him, blessed is he that shall eat bread in the kingdom of Elohim. Then said he unto him, a certain man made a great supper, and bade many, and sent his servant at supper time to say to them that were bidden, come, for all things are now ready. And they all with one consent began to make excuse. The first said unto him, I have bought a piece of ground, and I must needs go and see it. I pray you, have me excused. And another said, I have bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I go to prove them. I pray you, have me excused. And another said, I have married a wife, and therefore I cannot come. So that servant came and showed his master these things. Then the master of the house, being angry, said to his servant, go out quickly into the streets and lanes of the city, and bring in hither the poor, and the maimed, and the halt, and the blind. And the servant said, Adonai, it is done as you have commanded, and yet there's room. And the master said unto the servant, go out into the highways and hedges, and compel them to come in, that my house may be filled.
Go command them that they may come in, right? Go ahead.
For I say unto you, that none of those men which were bidden shall taste of my supper.
None of those men which were bidden. So the ones who were originally called kept giving excuse why they need to go, why they need to do this, why they need to do that. They have now lost their seat to the blind and the maimed, the people who were not originally called. Why? Because of how they dealt with their invitation. How are you dealing with your invitation? Go ahead.
And you know what's interesting here is he made sure that if somebody changed their mind, oh, you know, I got through early, or I thought about it. Nah, bruh, the place is full. There's no seat for you.
Right.
Verse 25, and there went great multitudes with him, and he turned and said unto them, if any man come to me, and hate not his father and mother, and wife, and children, and brethren, and sisters, yes, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple.
Wait a minute, what is he talking about? What you mean, hate my wife? I gotta hate my wife to follow you? What is he talking about? You gonna put the desires of your wife over what is needed for the kingdom. You can't be my servant. Now you can be one of those worshipers. You can be a worshiper. You can't be a servant. See, a servant puts order in what he does. It starts with Yahweh, and then everything else flows after that. That's how a servant operates. So you got to understand, a worshiper, you know, just, oh, bless you, oh, praise your name, oh, hallelujah. Worshiper can do that all day. You don't have to miss nothing for that. Okay? A servant is going to make sacrifices. You know, I was going to have to take my kid to this thing. Let me see if I can get somebody to drop my kid off for me. Because, you know what? I just remembered I got to do something for Yahweh. Now, I'm going to be back after I do this thing, but I need to take care of the things concerning the kingdom first. That's how servants operate. That's why he said, those who got so much love for father and mother, auntie, cousin, child. They can't be a servant of mine. Because when it come time to do something, they're going to have an excuse every time. I couldn't do it because of this. I couldn't do it because of that. I got to go early. I can't stay the whole time because I got to do this over here. Right. Move out the way. Somebody take that seat. Go ahead.
And whosoever does not bear his burdens and come after me cannot be my disciple. For which of you, intending to build a tower, sits not down first and counts the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it? Least happily, after he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it begin to mock him, saying, This man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king, going to make war against another king, sits not down first and consults whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that comes against him with 20,000? Or else, while the other is yet a great way off, he sendeth an ambassage and desires conditions of peace. So likewise, whosoever he be of you that forsaketh not all that he has, he cannot be my disciple.
Right. So then we have to draw the line between the disciples. We have to draw a line between the servants and the worshipers. There are servant seats and there are worshiper seats. See, the servants earn their seat. No matter what time they get here, their seat is already set. And if you're sitting in that seat, you're going to have to move because those are servants. They earn those seats. We only have a few worshiper seats available. Once they fill up, those are the ones that, if you get here early, you can get a worshiper seat. A servant, it don't matter what time they arrive. They got their seat. Thus says my Father who art in heaven. Let's go to Mark chapter 10. We just got about 2 more things here we're going to read. Mark chapter 10. And let's read verses 35 through 40. And part of this whole mindset that's got us screwed up is the mindset that we received on Sunday morning that you don't have to do anything for it. God has done all these things for you. Them folks about to get you killed. Mark chapter 10, and let's start that at verse 35.
And Jacob and Johanan, the sons of Zebedee, come unto him, saying, Master, we would that you should do for us whatsoever we shall desire. And he said unto them, What would you that I should do for you? They said unto him, Grant unto us that we may sit, one on your right hand and the other on your left hand, in your glory.
Now, they don't really consider at this point that what they're asking is, they don't went out there. Do you understand the seat that he has? And then look at these 2 brothers. So, so your family going to surround the throne. Folks don't even think about what it is they ask. Go ahead.
But Yahshua said unto them, You know not what you ask. Can you drink of the cup that I drink of, and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with? And they said unto him, We can.
They think they can. Everybody can when everything going good. It's when things go bad. Go ahead.
And Yahshua said unto them, You shall indeed drink of the cup that I drink of, and with the baptism that I'm baptized withal shall you be baptized. But to sit on my right hand and on my left hand is not mine to give.
Right. See, that those seats have already been filled. You can't sit down. No, people done earn their seats. When you talk about those 24 elders, they earn their seat. They earn their seat through service. You don't get to just sit there. Go ahead.
But it shall be given to them for whom it is prepared.
It shall be given to them for whom it is prepared. But let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Matthew chapter 26. Y'all did pretty good for some people who hung out all night.
Matthew chapter 26 and verse 17. Now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Yahshua, saying unto him, Where will you that we prepare for you to eat the Passover? And he said, Go into the cities to such a man, and say unto him, The master says, My time is at hand. I'll keep the Passover at your house with my disciples.
He's keeping the Passover with his disciples. He's not keeping the Passover with everybody. You know, all these people, think about all the people whom he has healed, all the people who have accepted his doctrine. You notice he's not keeping the Passover with all those people? He's only keeping the Passover with his disciples. I don't think people pay attention to that. What if one of the disciples said, well, you know, I got a cousin. Why don't I bring my cousin in? He only kept the Passover with his disciples. Don't you think some of them people who, think about the brother who might have been healed or from blindness. Don't you think he want to go with Yahshua? He don't want to keep the Passover with somebody else. I want to keep the Passover with the dude that gave me sight. But he can't. Nothing but his disciples keeping the Passover with him. Go ahead.
And the disciples did as Yahshua had appointed them, and they made ready the Passover. Now when the evening was come, he sat down with the 12. And as they did eat, he said, Verily I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me.
And check that out. With the smallest group available, there's still a deceiver in the midst. Smiling and feasting with you. Go ahead.
And they were exceeding sorrowful, and began every one of them to say unto him, Adonai, is it I? And he answered and said, He that dips his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me.
Now, you have to wonder, do they believe it's the sons of thunder who wanted to sit on the left and right hand? You know, because after that, everybody's trying to figure out who's going to betray him. Yeah, you know, they asked for his seat. Might be them brothers right there. It's one of them brothers. Go ahead.
The Son of Man goes as it is written of him. But woe unto that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It had been good for that man if he had not been born.
Right, but somebody got to do this job of betrayal. Go ahead.
Then Yehudas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? He said unto him, You have said.
See, the betrayer don't even know that he's the betrayer. Understand that when you're dealing with the wheat and the tares don't know it's a tare. It speaks boldly that it's right. He asking a question. Is it I? Go ahead.
You know, you got to think about it. What were the other 12 doing? Were they still debating back and forth that they didn't hear this answer?
Hey, you have to wonder, right? They might be looking at them two brothers over there. That's why they didn't hear this. They were too busy looking at the sons of thunder. How you gonna ask to sit on his left and his right side? Because if you know, if we kept reading that, the others had a problem with them. This not just me ad-libbing. They had a problem after they asked that question about could they sit on his left and right hand. There was an altercation. Yahshua had to keep talking to make the little altercation go away. So you have to wonder, is that in their head when he said, one of y'all gonna betray me? Now, if he said two, they probably would have hung them brothers. Go ahead.
And as they were eating, Yahshua took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, Drink you all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom.
I will not do this again until I do this in the kingdom. That's all that we're going to do for today. But for our family that is online, we do have a few slides that we'll come across before we end up going out, because we have so many people that are a part of this congregation, but because of their location, they are not able to get here. So we need to consider ourselves blessed that we are able to be in the midst. So I did want to make sure that, you know, we just showed them a little bit of the things of what we had. So I don't know if they're just going to do that on the internet or what, or if they had some issues loading that. Okay. And we can just stay on. Yep. So just cycle through them. Grillman. Brothers taking care of that food duty. Rebecca said, y'all made too much food. Taking care of the business. So they was doing a little New Year bingo right there. And that's just what they do every Sabbath. That's all. That happen all the time. And he act like he want it. I don't know where he running from. And that's us at the fire pit. They getting ready to do they roasting the marshmallows, having their s'mores, and that's the big fire. I made sure Kish wasn't nowhere around when the fire was big. All right, let's go to the next one. We kind of stuck right here. It look like we all stuck right there.
Sure they ain't fall asleep back there?
Nah, they ain't. They would have already fell asleep by now. All right, we having some difficulties back there? All right. So now we getting ready for our New Year toast. All right. We getting stuck on the same graphic for too long, y'all. Like, come on, let's cycle through these. Let's do. She was very excited to do some fireworks. I mean, extremely excited, right there. And the police shut us down, so we did some stuff. But then, you know, until the popo came. But like I said, we're gonna finish this tonight. That might be the last one, I know. I think Destin got us stuck on fire pits. We went on a vacation. We've been loving fire pits ever since. I think that's it. Is that the last one, brother?
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. Well, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.